It's been a pretty crazy year in entertainment. Seen a lot of things happen that seem to hint at this being the year that DEI died. Whether or not it actually will or not remains to be seen, but I can tell you one thing, audiences are getting tired of it. Just did a video on Concord earlier. Check that out. That game took 8 years to make and 13 days to die. That game is a great example of what's going on. And you're starting to see it in Hollywood as well. I'm going to go over a couple of things, but I wanted to start with this. Jenna Ortega, star of the upcoming Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which I'm actually kind of optimistic about. I'm looking forward to that movie. It looks pretty good, actually. I hope it's good. I like good movies. I like movies that just want to entertain people, like Deadpool and Wolverine, which is riding a huge high right now. That movie is doing great. I hope it sends a signal to people over at Marvel that, hey, maybe we should get back to the basics here, huh? But Jenna Ortega doing really good in Hollywood. That Wednesday show she did as a massive hit, and now she's got this Beetlejuice movie, which all signs point to doing pretty well at the box office. Whether or not it's a hit or not, I don't know. I think it'll do okay. If it's good, it'll get good word of mouth, and I think that is the biggest thing a movie could have right now, word of mouth. Word of mouth will keep a movie going. Look at Deadpool and Wolverine. It's been number one for like 6 weeks. I think it lost the number one spot once, and then it took it back the next week. I don't think it'll beat Beetlejuice. I think that movie is going to take number one for sure. People were pointing like $100 million opening, maybe $125 million opening, which would be pretty good. And then where it goes from there, depends on the quality of the movie. But I think it looks great. I'm kind of excited for it. Big fan of the original. I mean, most people are a fan of the original. It's a great movie. Michael Keaton looks like he's having fun in it. So we'll see. But I like what Jenna had to say here when people were asking her about these stupid gender swap remakes that nobody wants. And she kind of shuts it down and says, look, I don't want to be Jamie Bond. Why can't we have our own franchises? And she's not wrong. That's the way it should be. So here's what she had to say. Jenna Ortega weighed in on the trend of remaking iconic films with female leads. The Wednesday star was doing an interview with MTV along with her Beetlejuice co-star Catherine O'Hara. Host Josh Horowitz asked Ortega's thoughts on other potential sequels. Like, would she be interested in starring in a sequel to another one of director Tim Burton's classics, Edward Scissorhands, which could hypothetically be called Edith Scissorhands, or Edith Scissorhands, sorry, with Ortega in the Johnny Depp role. While Ortega and O'Hara initially found the idea funny, Ortega quickly added, I love that there's a lot more female leads nowadays. I think that's so special, but we should have our own, she said. I don't like it when it's like a spinoff. I don't want to see Jamie Bond, I want to see another badass. And I think that's right. There's a lot of this push, not from actual moviegoers and fans, from woke activist journalists who've been pushing for this idea of James Bond to be a woman. First off, the name of the character is James, not Jamie. You can do a female spy movie, You can do that. But here's the thing. They don't want to do that because then you have to work and actually make a reason for that character to exist. No, they want to take the existing franchise and usurp it into something else so that they can push their bullshit into it because it has a built-in audience. But the problem is that built-in audience keeps giving a giant finger to these stupid-ass woke remakes that don't need to exist. And Hollywood's starting to learn. Look at that Snow White movie that's coming out. Do you know that thing's already had 1 million dislikes over on YouTube? People are getting tired of this shit. Look at that. Look at that salt. 1.1 million dislikes to 85,000 likes. That like counter has barely moved. Barely moved. since people started covering this 3 weeks ago. 1.1 million dislikes. I don't want to say for sure this movie is going to fail, but man, it's kind of looking like it will. That's a lot of backlash. That's why they wanted to get rid of that dislike button, because you could really see just how people feel about this movie with that dislike counter. And then, look at this. A Deadpool and Wolverine slams past 600 million domestically. It's already at $1.2 billion, I believe, right now. And it's climbing up the charts of biggest MCU movies. Right now, unless it's changed, it's sitting at number 7 and climbing. We'll likely see it past Black Panther, and it'll be maybe it could pass Age of Ultron and sit up there with the Avengers. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. It depends on how long they let it sit in theaters. But the way it's moving, it's going to keep making money. You could see it sit in theaters for another month or so before they finally take it out of theaters. But, I think it sends a message, because you could say what you want about this movie as far as plot-wise goes. It's literally just two dudes on a road trip in a desert in the void. But it's so much fun. And there's no nonsense in it. It just it exists to be a good time. And it got rewarded for it. People want to see things, and they want to play games, but they want good stuff. They don't want all this bullshit in it. And this year, I think if any year before, like this year has definitely, I would think, be a year that people should sit down and really look at things. Concord, Dustborn, The Acolyte. No one's tuning into this shit. Nobody is. And I think people are starting to get it. There's another article, Matt Smith, talking about trigger warnings, talking about how he's sick of people policing stories through trigger warnings. Too much policing of stories and being afraid to bring them out because a climate is a certain way is a shame. I'm not sure I'm on board with trigger warnings, Smith said. It's okay to feel uncomfortable or provoked while looking at a painting or watching a play, but I worry everything's being dialed and dumbed down. We're telling audiences they're going to be scared before they've watched something. Can we just be adults? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not wrong. Look at the quality of shit that's been coming out. Now, I like House of the Dragons. Season 2, not as good as Season 1, but overall, I still enjoyed it. It's leagues better than most of the shit that we've been getting. It's weird to recommend Game of Thrones to people again, because I can't recommend the original series based on that ending. You can watch this show and not have to watch Game of Thrones so far. But as far as what he's saying, yeah, I agree. Can we stop? There's trigger warnings in front of Aladdin on Disney Plus. In front of Aladdin. It's a wholesome show or a wholesome movie. There's nothing wrong with Aladdin, but there's a trigger warning in front of it. That movie is good. That's something you could still show your kids. Yeah, I wouldn't show them most of the shit they've been making now. Maybe Inside Out 2. But a lot of the stuff that Disney's been putting out over the past couple of years has just been trash. But that's deemed better for audiences than Aladdin? Get out of here. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I'd like to hear from you. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.